Yeah, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to interview preparation session, which is being conducted by 360 TMG. And in today's session, we'll just check the basics of. We'll just keep an eye on the basics of Python and all. So yeah, as the first question for the day, guys, what are arrays? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. As we look into this, what is this array in Python? An array is nothing but a collection of common types of data structures and having the elements with the same data types and which is used to store the collected data. In Python programming, and arrays are normally handled by an array module. So if you create arrays using the array module, the element of the array must be of the same numeric type. So that's what an array is from Python. So as we jump into the next question, in data structures, what does a tree mean? What it will just represent? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, a tree it basically stores a collection of items in an abstract, in an hierarchical way, and each node is associated with a key value with parent nodes which are linked to child nodes. So yeah, that's how a tree it will be in a tree format. It each and every node will be associated with a value where the parent node will be associated with a child node. Okay, so as we jump with the next question, what does a hash table does in data structures, and what is a graph? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah, as we look into this, a hash table, which is also called as HapMap, it basically stores a collection of items in an associated array, and the key and the plot keys to the values. So if we come across the graph, a graph it basically stores a collection of items in a non-linear fashion, and graphs are made up of an finite set of nodes, and also known as vertices, and the lines that connect them are also known as edges. Okay, yeah. So as we move with the next question, What are the libraries we use in Python? Name few of them with their uses. Like where do we use it and how do we use it? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, we do have many libraries in Python, as we discussed on. Where some of the libraries in this Python are NumPy, Pandas, NLTK, TensorFlow. So, a NumPy, which is used for scientific computations, Pandas used for tabular data types, and NLTK used for text pre-processing. TensorFlow is used for deep learning. sklearn is used for data modeling and pre-processing. So these were some of the libraries which we use in Python and their uses. So as we jump into the next question, what are the benefits of using a Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, as Python, we all know it is a general purpose programming language, and that has a simple and easy to learn syntax. Is easy. It is an programming language which we can even read in our English language. It is readable as it is readable, and therefore, so as it's free of cost and open source, it reduces the cost for any project, which the maintenance cost will be a bit less. So the language which is capable of scripting is completely open source and support all the third party packages. And so these were some of the benefits of using a Python. Okay, so as we jump into the next question, what are interpreted languages? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, what is an interpreted language? An interpreted language, it basically executes its statements line by line, step by step. So, language such as Python, Java, R, these were some of the examples for and what is an interpreted language. So, as we go with the next question, what is peptide and what are its importance? So, if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within. Yeah. Now, as we look into this pep8 stands for Python Enhancement Proposal. It is an official design document which is providing the information regarding the Python community or describing some few new features for Python. It is especially important since the documentation, the style guidelines which we have to go across the Python codes which we have to run go on. So all the things which will be available in this paper. So it's nothing but a documentation which we use for it. So as we jump into the next question, what is scope in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, what the scope in Python. So every object in this Python function will basically have within will be inside within a scope. So a scope is an block of code where an object in Python remains relevant. So a scope defines for them where you could use their objects without any prefixes. Okay, those how this scope is used in Python. So as we jump into the next question, what is a list and tuple in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, a list and doubles are both are sequence data types. So they can store a collection of elements in Python. So whereas the representations might be different, where a list can be represented with a square braces, whereas the tuples were represented with parentheses. The only difference between them are mutable and immutable. Yes, a list are mutable data types, whereas tuples are immutable data types. So this is the only difference between them. As we jump into the next question, what is a pass function in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. As we look into this pass function, what does this pass function does? Yeah. Basically, if we go with it, the pass keyword, it basically represents a null operation in Python. So it is generally used for the purpose of filling up empty blocks of code, which might be executed during the runtime. So as we jump into the next question, so what are modules and packages in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer. Yeah, as we look into this, modules in general are basically simple Python files with .py extension, and they can have set of functions like classes, variables, which they can be implemented. So if we go with this, the packages allow for the clustering, the hierarchical structuring for the modules namespaces using some notations called as dot notations. So as modules helps to avoid classes between global and local variables, avoid classes between the modules names. Okay. Yeah. Okay. As we jump into the next question, what is dot string in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer with. Yeah. So as we look into this, this documentation string or this dot string is a multi-line string which is used to document a specific code segment. So this dot string should describe what the function or the method does. Okay, this is how a dot string works. So as we jump into the next question, what is slicing in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box. Yeah, as we look into this, the name itself suggests that slicing is taking parts. So yeah, it do follow some procedure like a start, a stop, and a step. So start, this is the starting index from where to slice a list. Stop, this is the ending to where to stop a list. And step, this is function where the steps to be jumped. Okay, as we jump into the next question, what are eigenvalues and vectors? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Now, as we look into this, this Eigen vectors helps in understanding the linear transformations, and they can even calculate the typically correlation covariance matrix in the analysis part. Whereas you come with Eigen values, it can only understand by the strengths of the transformations and the direction of Eigen vectors or the factors by which the compression has been happened. So as we jump into the next question, explain the concept of Boltzmann's machine. So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer. Yeah. Now, as we look into this, Boltzmann's machine, it is basically a feature, a simple learning algorithm, which enables the same to discover the fascinating features, which represented some complex irregularities which are present in the training data. And this simple learning algorithm involves in a Boltzmann machine is very slow in networks, so that have many layers of features decorators. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the day, guys. So these were few of the questions which we have been discussed in today's session. In tomorrow's session, we'll just discuss few more questions.